Hi, good evening, everyone. Okay, we are going to start very soon. Okay, just let me to set up. Okay, hi, good evening, everyone. I'm Darren from Investing Note. So again, thank you for joining us this evening in the largest market outlook event of 2021. So the topic for these sessions is how to find and trade for super stocks. Okay, today we have Singfu as our speaker for these sessions. So Singfu is a veteran remisier from CGS CIMB, and he also specializes in finding and trading stocks which have the potential to achieve double-digit return. So if you have any questions during the presentation, you can type it into the question box, which is on the right-hand side. There's a orange box, so you can just put in your questions. So later we will have a Q&A section, so Singfu will be able to answer your questions. Okay, so without further ado, let's welcome Singfu. Hello, Singfu, are you able to hear? Hello.
Hi there.
Hi. Okay, great. I can hear you very clear. So I can pass the time to you.
Sure.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Hi all. Yeah, very excited to be on this online seminar. Welcome all to this webinar. It's about how to find and trade super stocks. Okay, without further ado, let's begin. I'm going to share screen now. All right, just give you a heads up. Can you see the slides on the screen as well as the, can you hear me well? You can type it, your comments into the Q&A.
Yes, it's loud and clear and able to see your screen.
All right, great. Let's begin. Right, so before we start, this is a short disclaimer. Any information shared in this webinar is purely for information and education purposes. It's not actually a solicitation to trade or any financial advice. This is consult your independent financial advice for any advisory, okay? So a bit about my profile. I'm actually a CGS CIMB Securities since 1993. I'm a remisier with CGS CIMB Securities. Formerly, the company was known as GK Gold Stockbrokers. So it was sold to CIMB and finally it changed the name to CGS CIMB Securities. The company has changed name multiple times, but I'm still with the company for the last almost 28 years. Okay. Of course, over the last 20 years, I've gone through many bull and bear market cycles. And along the way, I've learned a lot of lessons from the market. And because with my trading experience, I actually developed a strategy called SuperStocks trading strategy. I use this very often in my own trading as well as using it to advise my clients. Now, with this methodology, I also have conducted many seminars and courses with multiple course providers. Among them, Share Investor. I've done this trade course called I Can Trade. I think some of you might have attended some of my seminars, and also Find and Trade Super Stocks for double-digit profits. I've also spoken to many forums organized by the Singapore Investment Association of Singapore and also Money Sense. And on the side, my leisure time, I'm also an Aikido instructor. I hold a black belt in third Dan. Okay, today's agenda, right? The topic and or rather the agenda for this whole Invest 360 is the market outlook. But what I want to do is that instead of giving a market outlook, I want to give you a basis of how I navigate the markets, how I select stocks, so that you are able to prepare for yourself any things that come along the way. All right. So what we're going to cover today is that what are super stocks? Okay, what are super stocks? Why do we want to trade super stocks? And how to find super stocks? Okay, finally, I will give you a very simple framework to how to trade SuperStocks. And we'll leave a little bit of time at the end for questions and answer. So what are SuperStocks? Most importantly, SuperStocks has a growth story, right? And the growth story will lead to a strong rallies. Now, typically they have very sound business model. For example, like companies like Apple, right? They have a very strong ecosystem with the App Store. More than about 20, here they have about 20% market share of the smartphone market globally, and they have very strong competitive advantage, and of course, what you call a strong business model and strong moat. So a lot of iPhone users, once they use iPhone, it's become very difficult to switch out of iPhone to any other platform. So they have a opportunity to grow their market share and keep the market share as the years goes by. All right. So because of a unique business, they also have SuperStocks typically have unique product and services in terms of, say, for example, Facebook, right? Facebook, they are into social media, all right? In a way, Facebook has actually revolutionized the advertising model, right? Formerly, newspaper like Straits Times, SPH, they have the monopoly over the advertising revenue. But now most companies will gravitate towards Google or even Facebook to actually advertise their product and services. Right, and because of this strong business model and competitive advantage, and because of the unique product and services, typically this kind of super stocks, right, the stocks will have very strong sales and earnings momentum. So this is very fundamental to what I do. I like to look for stocks that have very strong sales and earnings momentum. Okay, and not only that, we want to see that these stocks have very sound management, financial management. And of course, also very important is the major shareholders. And these major shareholders have a very good, strong track record to deliver on their promises, to deliver on the projects, and deliver on the business plans, right? Now, end of the day, fundamentals do matter, which is very important, right? So I don't just look at for stocks who actually run and rally and trade the trend, but I also do look at the underlying fundamentals, the reason behind the stock rally. That will give me more conviction on whether to stay longer in the share or to sell out. All right. So let's take a look at some examples and what I mean by super stocks. Now I'm going to highlight this stock called iFast. Right. Some of you may know that iFast is like owns a Fund Supermart. They are actually a fintech company in Singapore. They provide a platform for B2C, business to consumers like ourselves. A lot of retail investors use iFast as a trading platform because they enjoy low commission, low trading fees. They use iFast to the Fund Supermart platform to buy unit trusts. iFast is also a platform for the financial advisors, being a B2B, business to business kind of platform, right? So a lot of financial advisors actually use iFast to service their customer. That's why. That's why in recent years iFast has grown a lot. Now, I like to orientate you to this chart. Now, the blue color column is actually the earnings per share, right, for every quarter, like Q4 here, Q1, Q2, and Q3. Whereas the orange bar is actually the quarter-on-quarter growth, I mean, year-on-year growth of the quarter. So take, for example, this quarter here, Q1, March 2020. iFast actually grew 124% for this quarter compared to the previous year. All right, so Q1 of 2020 compared to Q1 of 2019, iFast actually grew by 124%. So this is a very phenomenal kind of EPS, earning per share growth. All right, so similarly, iFast also grew very strongly. Say, for example, in Q2, they grew almost 78%, and Q3 almost 20%. Okay. Now, how has it translated to the share price? Let's take a look at the share price. Okay, look at I've superimposed the earnings per share chart on the left-hand side, as you can see here, right? And then the iFast share price on the background, right? Now, looking at the share price, right, you'll notice that Take, for example, at December 2019, where the profit is not growing that strongly, the share almost like flattened out. And later on, when the earnings per share start to accelerate, like as in Q1, it grew by 124%, Q2, 78%, right? IFA starts to shoot up. All right. So in this period, right, IFA actually appreciated by almost 300% within 1 year. Right. These are very strong fundamental company that has exhibited that give rise to very strong kind of price momentum. So this is what I mean by super stocks. Stocks that has actually very strong earnings per share growth, unique business model, and that translates to strong share price performance. Okay. Right, next, I want to look at this share called, highlight share called AEM. AEM is actually a semiconductor company, equipment manufacturer. The major customer is actually Intel in USA. Right, we also all know that the semiconductor demand has been very strong in recent years, and AEM definitely has benefited very much from it. Right, so looking at the AEM, you will see that March 2019, which is Q1, there was a drop in quarterly profit compared to a year ago, or minus 20%. But after that, in Q2, Q3, and Q4, it started to accelerate very strongly. Finally, in the first half of 2020, the earnings per share actually grew by 145%. All right, so what has happened to the AEM share price? Let's take a look. Now, look at so similarly, I superimposed the EPS chart on the top left-hand corner of the price chart. Now, looking at the share price of AEM, you'll notice that in the first 2 quarters, all right, AEM actually, the share price actually flattened out. There's not much of a movement, okay? Now, then later on, when the earnings per share start to accelerate in Q4 2019 and first half of 2020, the share price start to rally very much and very, very strongly, right? In the 1 year alone, actually, AEM actually rallied almost 335%. So there again, these are very strong shares with strong fundamentals, and this translates into very strong kind of price performance. Of course, this other example, most of us are actually familiar, is Tencent. In this case, I actually highlighted the yearly earnings per share growth of Tencent and how it has grown over the years from 2012 all the way to 2020. And definitely it's a very strong kind of earnings per share performance, as you can see from here. All right. So what has happened in recent months? Let's take, for example, we are looking at the last 18 months. After a little bit of volatile swings in the earnings per share growth, actually, Tencent the earnings per share started to accelerate in December 2019, followed by March 2020, and then June and Q2 2020 and Q3 2020. So last year was definitely a very good year for Tencent in terms of earnings per share growth and net profit. Okay. Similarly, how has it translated to share price? Look at Tencent. It's a beautiful price chart, right? Isn't it? Sometime in 2020, after the first dip in the Q1 2020, the share price started to rally. Okay, and within 1 year, we have almost the 8% kind of price rally. So there again is a very strong super stock, strong fundamentals translating to very strong share price performance. Right, so this other share, EHI, which is actually listed in Hong Kong, some of you may not be very familiar, actually also has exhibited very strong kind of earnings per share growth, right? So these are the half-yearly EPS growth for the EHI. And as you can see from the figures illustrated here, right, definitely share has going through very strong fundamentals. A lot of people are wondering, what is EHI? Actually, EHI is actually a related company of Haidilao. Haidilao is a very strong, it's growing very strongly, and a lot of us are very familiar in Singapore, especially if you came over here and set up shop. Every time you go to the malls with Haidilao, right, on the first day when they open the restaurant, right, there's a long queue outside, and always the queue is there. All right, so Haidilao actually owns EHI. It's a partly owned by partly owned EHI. And EHI actually supplies the condiments things like the soup base and the seasoning to Hai Di Lao. And you may notice that some of these soup base and condiments are also sold in the supermarket. So this is actually another company that has a strong share price performance and earnings per share. So look at Yihai. What has Yihai happened? What has happened to Yihai during this 2 years period? Now this share has gone up 500% in 2 years, right? And in the last 12 months alone, it's gone up 172%. So despite like an environment like COVID, right? Lockdown, and the people cannot travel, people cannot go outside and dine and things like that. The share price still has very strong share price performance. So these are the stocks you want to look for, you want to trade, and definitely it will give you a very strong boost to your share price. I mean your portfolio if you get into one of these shares earlier on. Okay. So why trade super stocks? So the answer is very simple, right? SuperStocks have very strong potential to deliver supernormal profits, okay, supernormal returns. And the returns for the last 12 months for this 4 share alone will actually have, is actually very, very attractive. And some of you, if you have traded some of these shares, you have probably done very well for your portfolio, right? But as a reminder, I always get questions from clients, right? And these are common gripes that I always can hear, right? So first off, people will say, hey, the price has rallied too quickly. Why do I wait for price to correct, right? Then when the price has correct sharply and the news flow is bad, let's wait for the price to fall further, right? So people are very hesitant to jump on rather to trade some of these very strong share price performance, the share that's going up very sharply. Price of stocks of stocks are going to 52-week high, right? And then third point is that, well, now the share price has corrected more than average. It should rebound. I will buy now. Then you see the price falling even further, right? So these are some of the common concerns that we have when we trade, when we trade in the market. And I will try to address some of these issues later on as we discuss further. Now, the third one is market indices are at an all-time high. For example, you might read that the P/E ratio of the US market is very high, and it's actually time to fall, right? So there are a lot of doomsayers saying the market is going to correct, market is going to correct. I heard that this thing of market is going to correct for the last 3-4 years, but still the market is going up. So what should I do? Is it too risky to enter now? Right. So this is the answer I have for most of the investors who has this kind of concerns. Actually, we should look at this market as a market of stocks rather than stock market. Why? What do you mean by that? Right. If you look at you focus on just the stock market, you look at indices is so high, they will give you there is always a fear of going in. How should we trade the market? Should we get in now, or should we sell everything, wait for the stock to the share price fall further? But you look specifically into individual stocks, you might notice that some of these stocks are actually still very attractive value wise, or they have strong price momentum that allow you to actually take a position and trade in a very risk control manner to make some profit, right? So always look at the stocks as a approach trading as a market of stocks. Look for attractive counters with very good fundamentals and with strong price momentum to trade, rather than focus on the stock market index and thinking that it's too high. All right. So how do we find super stocks? I will going to highlight two things that I always look at. Firstly, we look at the fundamental filter. What kind of fundamental filter am I looking at? We want to see strong sales growth. Companies that are actually growing sales-wise, at least about 20% year on year. We also want to see strong quarterly EPS growth, as I highlighted just now. All these companies that actually perform very strongly, has actually very strong EPS growth quarterly. If the quarterly results are not available, at least use the half-yearly results, okay? Return on equity of at least 15%, right? So not just strong earnings per share, but must be able to use the capital efficiently to generate good returns for the shareholders. Good cash flow generation, and also, of course, sound financial management. So in terms of debt management, how they manage the debt, Do they issue too many shares to grow, or do they have share buybacks that will shrink the share outstanding and improve the earnings per share growth? All these are concerns, all these are reasons that will give me faith and give me conviction in the stock that I trade. Of course, end of the day, very important to have very strong and reputable management with a good track record. So I'm just going through all these points briefly, right? So we don't have this much time in this 1 hour to cover everything in detail. I also like to look at strong insiders and institutional shareholders. So some of these stock, like take for example, Apple, is owned 5% of Warren Buffett, the Berkshire Hathaway, actually own 5% in the share, right? So Warren Buffett didn't buy into Apple until almost I think about 4 or 5 years ago, right? At the time, Apple has really gone up many times, and since then, Apple still has appreciated multiple times, okay, from its initial purchase price. So if we follow some of these insiders, very strong insiders with very good reputation, what are their moves like? You can actually, put your money alongside them for a good ride. Okay, then we look at a technical filter. This is where I use indicators, price and volume, the price chart to analyze the entry points. Okay, firstly, we want to be sure that this stock has a very high relative strength compared to the market index. I will illustrate on this point later on. Okay. More importantly, the share price must be trending. We don't want the share price to go sideways and going nowhere. We want to see the price trending higher, okay, on a higher low kind of basis. Among the indicators that they use is this indicator called MACD, which is actually a short form for moving average convergence and divergence indicator. So I want to see a very strong positive upward momentum in the MACD, right? So I also use exponential EMA, exponential moving averages of 100 and 200 day to make sure that the long-term trend of the price is high, is trending higher. So the price is trending above the longer-term EMAs, the EMA 100 and 200. And the rallies must be confirmed by rising volume. This is very important, right? So when the price move, we want to see more and more people getting the share, more investors investing in the share, and the price should, besides the share price rallying, we want to see the volume to pick up, the trading volume to pick up too. Of course, when share will tend to pull back after some time in the rally, and during this kind of pullback, right, we want to see the correction on shrinking volume. This will give us conviction that the price upward trend is strong. Okay, what do you mean by high relative strength? Now let's take a look at this chart. Okay, this line chart is actually the straight time index. And point A here is in February, whereas the index is actually at 3,230 points. Now, because of COVID and the lockdown that the circuit breaker that we have, straight time actually dropped to 2,200 points in March, point B. Okay, thereafter, there was a short rally to point C in April of 2006. So during this period, right, there was a sharp sell-off, and then subsequently there was a rebound. Okay, there was a rebound. Now, what I'm going to do now, I'm going to cut out this portion of the chart, and I'm going to superimpose into the price chart of this share called AEM. Right, look at AEM now. Right, so this is point A, straight time index was at the high, then there was a sell-off to point B, and then there was a rally to point C. But during this time, AEM also has similar sold-off, right? It sold off from a high over here, and then it fell all the way to this bottom at point B, and came back to point C, right? At point C, it almost recovered all the losses, right? All the losses that suffered during the COVID sell-off, right? So this, but at this point in time, right, at point C, the straight time index is still very much off the recent high in point A. So this is what I mean by relative strength. Some of these stocks are like AEM, like iFast, like even Tencent, and those stocks that I talked about just now, they have very high relative strength. Despite the market sell-off and the subsequent rebound in the market, they are able to recover all the losses and start to go up to 52-week high. So they are relative to the index, they are much stronger in terms of price performance. So they have very high relative strength versus the index. Okay, so what has happened here now? There was a point A, then B, and C. Right, since then, right, AEM start to rally, and it's gone up to almost from a price of almost $2 up to over $4 here. Okay, so this is what I mean by high release strength and how the share price perform when they have high release strength. Now I'm going to go more in depth into how we're going to look at this share, right? So I'm going to actually use the C-square chart on Share Investor to show you how I go about analyzing some of these stocks. Okay, so look at this share, this AEM here. This point here is somewhere is point C, right? Look at the price, the volume. The price has rallied very strongly on very heavy volume. So this green color, all this green color volume bars here shows that the price is going on very high volume. So this is what I mean by strong price performing with good trading volume, right? On rallies, when the price is going up, you want to see strong trading volume and the volume pick up substantially. So, all right. So when the price is correcting, as in here, when you're going a sideways movement, we want to see a shrinkage in volume, right? We want to see the volume to shrink. Okay, and then after that, after a short period of consolidation, the price start to pick up again somewhere here. All right. Now you'll notice that typically what has happened here is that let's focus in this time period. Now what has happened here is that sometime in the July, 23rd of rather August. Okay, this time frame over here, August, 3rd of August, AEM actually posts a very strong earnings per share growth, right? So the company announced very strong results, and typically just before about prior to results, right, you'll notice that the price start to move up, right? So these are actually windows that they can actually take advantage of, right? So if I understand that the company has been actually making very strong earnings per share growth year on year, I would like to position myself ahead of such shares and trade the share price, right, just prior to the earnings announcement. Okay. Now, moving along, let's look at the right-hand side. Now, what has happened here is that you will focus on the rectangular part here where I actually box up the volume. We notice that this last bar is actually the trading price for today. EM has actually rallied up to about $3.89 closing today, right? So prior to this, we can see that actually the price was moving up and the volume is actually picking up slightly. This is actually a very good sign. So this is what I mean when the price is rallying. I want to see the volume to be picking up. And also at the same time, the MACD, which is plotted on the second window here, we also see that the MACD is actually turning positive. So actually, this price is actually going up very strongly, and the MACD is actually showing upside momentum, right? So if you ask me what's going to happen with the EEM at this point in time, okay, based on the chart, it's looking pretty well. And we are coming to a time window whereby earnings is going to be announced sometime in February. The price performance is picking up and is trending very nicely. And there's an opportunity to, it's probably, it has a very strong potential for a good share price performance. Now, what are the, of course, we don't just look at, the potential for upward price appreciation. We also want to protect ourselves by looking at the support and resistance level, where are the typical stop loss point if you are wrong, right? For example, at the moment here, the support is about 320, which is actually a long-term support. And for price to actually to stay above, to be able to enjoy the uptrend or rather to continue the uptrend, we probably don't want to see the price to move up too much below $3.70. All right, so in terms of AEM, the price is showing a very strong upside momentum, and there's an opportunity for probably a very good potential for more share price performance. Okay. The next share that I want to look at is iFast again. Now, so iFast along the way also has announced very strong results, right? As I already highlighted. Now let's zoom into the Okay, let's zoom it to video over here and try to take some lessons out of it. Right. So prior to this earnings announcement on 23rd October, where the profit went up by almost 150%, right? Actually, iFast was having a period of consolidation, right? And later on, the price start to pick up, and then the volume start to pick up too, like in here, okay? And then similarly, the price start to move, and the volumes similarly start to pick up very strongly. So these are patterns we want to see, right? Price moving up very strongly, breaking up to new high as in here, and then the volume substantially expanded. And this actually was a very strong rally to from $2.45 to almost 382. And this is there again, right? This rally is actually rally towards the results. So if you are positioned just for a month before the results and is watching the price performance, price volume very closely, you have profited very handsomely from this trade, right? Now look at the right hand side. This is iFast at the moment, okay, 394. So I was preparing the presentation 2 weeks ago, and I was looking at I picked iFast because I actually like the price perform the technicals of share as well as the fundamentals, right? So over here, I spotted that the price and volume start to pick up substantially, and then of course there was a correction for a few days to a week. Price strong, the volume strong, and then later on the volume start to pick up again, as in here. Okay, so since then the price has broken up, and then it has gone up from almost $3 to 395 today. Right along the way, the iFast also actually announced that their assets under management grew by almost 45% year on year. So it's another case of a very strong positive news flow. iFast is going to report results again sometime in February. Looks like the trend is very strong towards the results. Okay, so these are very strong share with strong share price performance. So in just this is how I actually approach some of these super stocks, how I trade them. I like to look for earnings catalysts prior to, because all these shares the year-on-year EPS growth is very strong. So prior to the next results season, usually a month ahead, I like to be a position. I like to look at the price and volume relationship. I like to look at technicals. Once the technical is positive, then we can position ahead of this strong share price, this kind of stocks prior to the earnings announcement. Okay, right now we're going to run through some case studies. I think many of you might be interested to or have been trading Alibaba. And this is a very interesting example. What has happened is that Alibaba, although it's a super stock and has enjoyed substantial gain over the past few years, recent months, it has sold down substantially. Now, would you have avoided some of this? Of course, sometimes some of these super stocks do have a sharp correction, like Alibaba is down almost 30% from the recent high. And I think most of us will know that it was sold off because of unsuccessful IPO of Ant Financial. Now, what has happened here is that on the 4th of November, IPO for Ant Financial was put off, and then was substantially sell off. Right. So looking at the volume chart here, look at this. The red color volume shows that the price was sold off very strongly on very heavy volume. Right. So whenever you see such signs, right, it's always good to stay out of the share if you're looking to buy the share, because these are signs that showing that the selling volume is very high. Potentially, there might be the trend might be changing to the downward side, and it's always good to stand aside to wait for the sell-off to dissipate in momentum. Following that, there was a shallow rebound, and then the sell-off on high volume again. So this few red color volume bar on the sell-off volume will have warned us that it should time to stay out of the share. And look at the MACD. The MACD has turned negative, right? And then later on over here, sometime in the 23rd of December, the price went even further below the support of $242 and went further down to 210 and keep there again on very substantially high selling volume. Right. So looking at the price volume characteristics, the price is coming down very sharp heavy volume. It's always good to stay away and step aside rather than try and bargain hunt on the way down. So, right, so if you don't use technicals to help you to time entry, you probably have bought a lot of the share price on the way down, and that will actually hurt your trading portfolio, right? Now, is it time to get into Alibaba? Well, looking at the price chart, there's actually the price has corrected to around 208 before there was a shadow rebound, and then it's coming off again. As far as I can see, from the price and volume, I'm not seeing very much of a upward buying momentum yet. All right, so the MACD is still negative. The price, yeah, it doesn't show that. I mean, the price sell-off is still on very heavy volume. You notice that all the red color volume bar is still much taller than the green ones. So until such time, right? Until such time, we want to see something like this, right? Some periods like this here. Okay, sometime in April last year, whereby the green color volume bar start to be taller than red color volume bar, and then also, right, the MACD turns positive, right? So this is a time where the momentum start to turn positive, and the buy momentum start to pick up in volume. So until such time that I see this kind of pattern appearing in Alibaba, uh, my prognosis for the share is that it's still trying to find a base, and probably it's going to go into some kind of sideways consolidation movement before we can see further gains. All right. Um, right. So from here on, I'm going to cover a few shares we have actually singled out, which I think that they have strong potential to be super stocks, or rather, some of them may be even be super stocks for the past few years, and some of you may be trading them, and you want to understand whether they're going to go up further. All right. Okay, so this is Meituan. Meituan, some of you may know that they are actually a very popular portal and app in the mobile app in China. They do food delivery, shopping, e-commerce, and things like that, right? So Meituan has also rallied handsomely from almost $70 last year during the COVID bottom, all the way until about $330. Right, during such time, right? Okay, look at the left-hand side. Now, you notice that when the share price start to perform, you will always want to see that the price moving out on very strong volume. Look at all this green color volume bar here. They are much taller than the red color volume bar, showing you that they have actually very strong share price performance, right? And the MACD has turned positive as in here, okay? Right, so positive momentum, strong price performance with accompanying strong volume. This is what we want to look at. But what about the right-hand side where Meituan is it now? The price has momentum has actually weakened quite a fair bit, as in here, right, where the MACD went negative in December. It's turning up again right now in the January, right? But as I see, looking at the price, looking at the volume relationship, it seems to me that the sell volume is still much stronger than the buy volume, meaning the red color volume bar is still very much taller than the green. It shows that actually this rally is still on very shallow volume. There's not much conviction behind the rally. So looks like the price may still need a bit of a consolidation. At this point in time, we are looking at a chart. Maybe the support level is about $270, and the resistance level we're looking at is almost, say, around 336. All right. So we need a bit of Meituan may still need a little bit of time to actually consolidate again. So there's a likelihood that we're going to come on sideways consolidation, and before you see further price gain, right? So of course, if the fundamentals continue to do well as before, Meta will definitely most likely to have a good potential to have more upside. Okay. Right. Yeah. Thanks for all the questions that are coming in. Let's keep them coming in. I'm going to cover a couple more stocks, and then we're going to move on to some of this Q&A that actually we look at. All right. This is another company called Sunny Optical. They're actually a camera maker for the smartphone. They have a very huge market share. Notice that prior to any rally, as in here, the price will pick up substantially on heavy volume. So these are signals that that we want to look at. When the price is going to move, you will see a very strong upward momentum in terms of share price performance, in terms of the trading volume, right? Sunny Optical is going to continue the good share performance. As you can see here on the right hand side, the volume for Sunny Optical is still pretty much positive, more green bars than red. It looks like the trend is still continuing, it's good to always look out for the next quarterly earnings, how the company perform. But as it is, it seems that looking at the share price, it looks like the price momentum is strong and it's still a very much tradable share. Where are the support levels? At the moment, the support level is almost like the recent high, which is actually $161, right? Today, the last 2 days seems to have a bit of sell volume here, right? So it's typical after a strong share price performance like this, from $161 to 200, the stock price may pull back. But when it really pull back, right, we want to see the volume to string, right? We want to see the volume to string. And then when it already comes again, we want to see the volume to expand. So these are very healthy signs that the stock will do well, okay? Right. The next two stocks, one stock I want to look at is called a local company called ISDN. Now, why I highlighted the share is because sometime around end of November, I was also similarly doing another webinar together with my another partner of mine, which is James Yu of Share Investor, right? So two of us are actually conducting a course for some of the for some of these participants, and we actually James actually mentioned the fundamentals of this ISDN, and I talk about the technical. I do like the technical because of the reason that I've shown you before, right? Strong upward momentum in volume, right? And then when the price pull back, as in, say for example, during the month of December, the volume actually springs substantially, right? Following that, the price actually start to shoot up and the volume pick up a lot. This is a very strong momentum kind of a performance. And prior to this breakout, there was a really very strong size accumulation, as in all this green color volume bar here, right? And of course, looking at MACD, the MACD is still positive here. It shows that even prior to this upward upward rally in the share price from 43 cents to almost 63 cents, this is almost a 50% gain in about 10 days. The price was actually showing some signs of accumulation, right? So I do run some online seminars and webinars whereby I share some of these examples of SuperStocks and some of the potential stocks that I look at. So if you're interested, do keep a lookout for some of the events we organize in Share Investor, right? Another counter to look at is a company called UMS. UMS is also in the semiconductor space. Now you notice that quite a few of the stocks that are highlighted is actually in the semiconductor space. Why? Because the semiconductor demand, according to the forecast from the major semiconductors chip producers, they are also looking at very strong demand this year, right? So the downstream company like AEM, ISDN, UMS will definitely benefit, right? So looking at the recent share price performance, it looks pretty good. MACD is positive, showing that the price momentum is still strong. On the right-hand side, the recent days also show that the price is picking up on very heavy volume, which is a good sign. Today, there was a little bit drop in the price and the volume actually picked up. So it's good to keep a lookout. There might be a potential for slight pullback. And during a pullback, we want to see maybe the price holding above support at about 110 or 108. Okay, and when the price correct further, we want to see the volume to shrink. So this is the some kind of a guideline that I use when I trade a counter, right? I want to see positive upward momentum in the as shown by the MACD. I want to see upward price momentum and strong volume traded. And when the price do pull back, I want to see the volume to shrink. Okay, and I like to position ahead of earnings catalyst. In this case, UMS I think is going to announce results again. So all the most of the company have year end or quarter end in December. So a month later, February or March, you'll see a lot of them making earnings report. So these are very good period to position ahead of some of these strong companies. Okay, right. So we have about another 45 minutes. Maybe it's a good time to look at some of the Q questions that you have. Okay, good. Somebody asked, based on the SuperStock strategy, is Top Glove for SuperStock? Yes, it is. Now let's take a look at Top Glove and how the share price has performed. Okay, of course, the Top Glove is listed in Singapore as well as Malaysia, right? So I'm going to select the Singapore one, and let's look at the Top Glove share price performance. Now, the price definitely done pretty well, right? Very, very well. In fact, from a COVID low of about 60 cents, this is actually a adjusted split price. The share price went up to almost 5 times to $3. Okay, right. So since then, there will be a sell-off. There will be a sell-off. The price went into sideways consolidation, and then it was a sell-off. Right. This period here, it seems that there are a lot of sell volume. Okay, which is what is happening here, right? Somewhere here. Okay, so it's not a very good sign when the volume, the sell volume is high, and also at the same time here we have a bit of sell volume, right? This red color volume bar here, but from that, since then, right? I think the major catalyst of why the news flow of why the share price rebounded recently, recent days, from about $1.88, okay, from $1.80 to almost $2.17 now. It's because Malaysia just announced that they're going to MCO, right? It's a period of lockdown, and because of the lockdown, then investors start to chase all these COVID-related shares again, right? Top Glove make the healthcare glove for healthcare industry, and they are very much benefited. They are very much benefited from this COVID situation, right? So is the volume high? Yes, the buy volume on the right hand side shows that the volume traded is pretty high, right? Over here, okay. But what I have a word of caution for. I mean, from my point of view, based on a chart and based on my analysis against the news flow, I think it's still a bit of caution in trading Top Glove because there might be a rally now, right? But I don't suppose that because a lot of people are really prepared for such a lockdown, right? So it's not like last year March where there was a big surprise. Everybody was surprised that the COVID situation actually got worse so quickly, and then the lockdown being imposed, and nobody was prepared for more masks, more gloves, and things like that. So the demand for gloves shoot up. But over the last 12 to 18 months, a lot of company has actually gone into glove making. Sorry, a lot gone into mask making. Supply for glove also has ramped up a lot, and we have this vaccine coming out. So I think the upside momentum may not be as strong, right? So, but of course, if you're looking strictly at a technical point of view, right, definitely the short term there's a bit of upside momentum, but in this case, at this point in time, right, the momentum is still not enough for the MACD to turn positive, as in here, right? And also I would say that the price is still just barely went above the 200-day moving average. So based on this prognosis, right, it looks like the price may still go up, but don't expect the sharp kind of share price performance as in last year where the price go up almost 500-600%. Okay, so this is my view for Top Glove. Of course, I mentioned AEM as well as ISDM, which are actually all related to AEM. AEM own the private equity firm of their own AEM, also own a little bit of ISDN. And of course, somebody mentioned, what is your thoughts on the impact of AEM bid to take CEI private? Well, of course, the news is really discounted for CEI, but I think because of the AEM bid for CEI, and it trigger a run on some of this AEM related share as in AISDN or even some of semiconductor share like UMS, because all these M&A news actually trigger the market to revise their value for some of these semiconductor share or for potential M&A opportunities, right? Somebody asked how to subscribe for this platform. This platform I'm using is actually the Share Investor, right? So if you're interested, you can go to Share Investor website. You can sign up as a Web Pro user, or you can sign up for SI Station, which is their premium edition, right? Okay, JT asked, do we want the MACD crossover above the signal line or MACD crossover zero? Now, as I said, it's only a 1 hour segment, so I can't go into very much deep detail on how to utilize the MACD. But if you're interested, actually, what is happening is that James is another speaker who's going to speak tomorrow. James is a fundamental analyst. I'm more like a technical analyst. So two of us are actually conducting a course called the bootcamp. We actually run a FA and TA module to teach the participants how to utilize both FA and TA to trade the markets. Right. So the next run will be in February. Do look out for some of our EDM coming out in February. We'll be running some kind of a preview to let you know how we approach the market, and some of these super stocks will be mentioned in the preview too. Okay. Okay, so Mr. Ho, can you share Riverstone and MagTech? Okay, let's see. Now, I think what I've said about Top Glove also applies similarly to Riverstone and MagTech. Looking at the chart here, right, there are some upside momentum for Riverstone now, but the MACD is still, it needs a little bit more time to repair the technical damage that we see to Riverstone. MACD is turning positive a little bit, but the price is just barely above the 200-day moving average. And of course, like I said before, similarly for Top Glove, more people are prepared for the situation now. So we cannot expect, we are unlikely to see the repeat of the share price performance of Riverstone and all some of these COVID-related companies, COVID beneficiaries. The kind of high performance that we saw last year. Maybe you can, there might be some upside trading gains, but we do have to be careful of potential pullback. All right. And of course, when I mentioned about pullback, right, I want to see the pullback to be on shallow volume, to be shrinking in volume. So these are very positive technical kind of signals to confirm whether the price is going to go higher. All right. Okay, the last question over here, one of this question here is very, very good. It says, what sector or stock you think could be the next super stock in 2021? Now, typically the stocks that I look at, right, are what I want to share is that they must be in very strong growth industry. Well, of course, recent months we see a lot of phobia, in fact, buying phobia over, it's buying euphoria over the electric vehicle stocks like Tesla, right? Tesla, NIO, Chinese automaker in electric cars. So these are sectors you want to look at, like cloud computing, right? Cloud computing, your regular Adobe, Amazon, they're still very good shares, but maybe for give it a bit more time for it to correct and for the technical picture to get better. Or in Singapore wise, look at the semiconductors. I think the semiconductors are still doing pretty well. And of course, other shares like consumerism, right? So the Chinese market is growing strongly. They are turning to very strong consumers. So things like Hai Di Lao, right? So it's going to be we have examples like McDonald's, KFC, Burger King, and Pizza Hut in the US, and they have grown so substantially over the years. So we're going to see brands like Hai Di Lao, right? All these Chinese brands coming out of China. So do look out for some of these ideas that actually are catering to the rising consumerism in the China market. And I think these are good opportunities to look at, okay? So this is what I have here. Now, what has happened is that, well, like I said before, right, Jane and I, we are conducting a course for Share Investor, right? And have a 12 months guided course mean. So what we call investment bootcamp. Now, in these 12 months, you will have access to about 600 minutes of video content on fundamental analysis and technical analysis, right? Following that, once the participant graduate, right, after the 2 weeks course, we will invite you into a private Facebook group, right? And this some of these examples like ISDN, Taiwan Semiconductors or AEM, and other shares that we have seen has performed pretty well. We actually shared in the either in the webinar, right, or in the private Facebook chat, right? So bundled into the course fee is also a 1-year subscription for Share Investor Web Pro with data across several markets. So like somebody asked just now, what do I get? How do I access all the charts? So this is where you get it, all right? And then we also have 2 members meetup, and you also get to discuss your ideas with industry expert. All these course materials and the video are actually available to you for 1 year, right? So do look out for it, or you can go into this website here, Investment Bootcamp 2020 on Share Investor for more details. Okay, I'm going to stop share now and pass the platform back to Darren.
Hello. Okay. Thanks. Great. Thank you very much, Singfo. I think we have learned a lot from your sharing, and thank you for your sharing for today. So for the next section, we will start at 8 p.m. Okay, the topic will be US market outlook for 2021. So the speaker will be Dr. Nazrin Khan. So is a very famous trader as well. So feel free to join us. And the last thing is, remember to click on the virtual hall. We have some surprise for you. Okay, remember to click on that. Okay. Once again, I would like to thank for joining us, and we will see you on next sections. Okay. Thank you very much, Singfo. So we are going to end this now. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.